football nerd. And I think that that's what this guy is. I think he's one of those like eccentric genius types in coaching form, I think, is Mike Macdonald. Every time that I see him like moving around or speaking, he just comes across to me as someone who is very like almost autistic. Again, I mean that in like a complimentary way. Like he seems brilliant at like whatever equation he's working on in his head. Welcome in and welcome back to Hybrid Studios and to the Coliseum. My name is Logan Hyder. I appreciate you, as always, for clicking on this video today. It's Super Bowl week, obviously. We're going to pick that game. We're going to talk about all the different storylines that go along with it. Mike Vrabel with the Patriots, Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, the Patriots' supposedly weak schedule, and just about every other thing that you could hope to hear about when it comes to the Super Bowl. We're also going to talk about 2 Hall of Fame enshrinement snubs that happened over the last week or so when it comes to Bill Belichik and Robert Kraft. We are also going to talk about some Pro Bowl selections that ironically on the other end of the spectrum should not have been made. And just a lot. We have so much stuff to go over today. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and consider subscribing, particularly if you are a longtime viewer or return viewer of Hybrid Studios. Statistically speaking, even if that is true, you are probably not subscribed to the channel, and that is all right, but please hit that button or consider doing so, as well as sharing this channel and this video with somebody who may enjoy it. And with that, we have arrived at the Super Bowl. Seahawks and Patriots. Feels like it's 2018 or whatever it was that it felt like it was the damn Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots every single year. It felt like for 3 or 4 years there, and we're back somehow we have gotten back to the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots once again, and totally different regime on both sides except for John Schneider in Seattle and Robert Kraft. Sam Darnold was the first QB from the 2018 class to reach the Super Bowl. That's something that's a little bit surprising. Actually very, very surprising whenever, depending on which spot in time you want to jump back to. I mean, if you jump back to a certain point in time, both of these guys were playing for the Panthers while this guy was winning an MVP. And somehow this guy ends up in the Super Bowl first. 3 MVPs between these two guys. This guy is literally like a sales rep for an insurance company now, Josh Rosen. Swear to God, look it up. And then Baker's had a lot of success too. Somehow Sam Darnold, who was literally just given up on by his team last year in the Minnesota Vikings, is the first QB to reach the Super Bowl. Absolutely insane stuff. So here's some of Sam Darnold's journey. He was one of the younger QBs that has come out, especially given the fact that he played at USC for multiple years. But he was 21 years old whenever he was first a starting QB in the NFL. 21. There's a lot of guys. Joey Aguilar is suing the NCAA right now to stay at Tennessee for another year. He would be 25 when he plays this fall if he were to play at Tennessee again. If he somehow became a starter in the NFL, he'd be 25. Sam Darnold started at 21. He's only like 28 years old. He's actually got quite a bit of his prime remaining. Then Adam Gase is hired. Not a great look. I'll put that picture of him clearly on methamphetamines up on the screen. He gets mono, which that's listed here because he missed like 3 months. And this was like his rookie year, his second year. He got beat up so much that there was a famous game where he was getting sacked a lot, tons of pressure, and he literally said on the sideline that he was seeing ghosts. We can put that clip in here as well.
Arnold on the mic. We're gonna keep bringing it. Seeing ghosts.
Goes to Carolina with Baker. Idiot coach number 2, Matt Rule. Facts, Matt Rule was brought in from Baylor in college and was brought to Carolina as like a big splash move. Absolutely did not work out. He got benched. Goes to San Francisco as a backup, just sat there, just chilling in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, who is known as like a quarterback whisperer. And I actually thought that was an interesting little pickup by them. But they ultimately go with Brock Purdy over him now that I'm thinking about it. So he gets passed over with that as well. But he goes to San Francisco to tighten up his game. Whatever happened there, I mean, I think maybe Kyle Shanahan should be given a lot more credit than he has been given when it comes to that. But goes to Minnesota. They go 14-2 or 14-3. He has a really bad couple of games, which admittedly did cost him any potential shot at having a contract there, because they were really, really bad. I mean, they were really, really bad. And not a lot of people blamed them, to be fair, for moving on at the time. But they move on, and now he's playing in the Super Bowl. This just proves that QBs are a learn and develop position, not just throw them in right away. Generally speaking, I would agree with that as well. I like Cam Ward this year. I didn't want him to sit because you have nobody to play in front of him. You might as well give him some experience. But also, like, you don't play a QB if they're going to end up getting hurt and, you know, their confidence shattered. And generally speaking, you got to give him some time to develop. That's why the Anthony Richardson thing, for example, is so crazy to me, because he was such a project, and then you give up on him early. But at the same time, like, you can't play him and also compete because he's just so bad right now. Technically speaking, you know, he's got all the tools, but so it's a little bit of a nuanced thing. It really, I think, depends on the player. But there are a lot of examples of guys who were not thrown into the fire, as they say, who turned out well. Like Malik Willis, for example, him and like a group of quarterbacks in general are now being called like the guys that teams are hoping are the next Sam Darnold, a guy who just another team whiffed on. Of course, that particular one would be the Titans. I'll take Cam Ward over him, but still, that has had time to develop somewhere else, and now you could be, you know, the place that they actually shine at. So Sam Darnold is now an archetype within the NFL, which is pretty insane. In addition, Sam Darnold's grandfather, Dick Hammer, that's right, was a UFC legend and the Marlboro Man. Easily the greatest name ever if jersey swaps were a thing in his generation. Oh, shit. I'm looking at the comments, by the way, just so you know where to direct your eyes. I'm not going to give a play-by-play on this, but that's hilarious. So that's your random Sam Darnold fact. But the team that gave up on him, the Minnesota Vikings, they just fired their GM. Like, it appears to be like a direct response to Sam Darnold making the Super Bowl, which is hilarious. This has got to be fake, right? That's not real, right? That can't be real, right? What is this? So anyway, sorry, I got totally caught into a vortex on those comments there. The reason why I say that it's a direct response, it seemingly, is because of this video here, although there's another post I'm going to show you in a second that makes it a little less clear what's going on here, but let's see.
Money that was spent to save to not franchise Sam, just how do you weigh those things and how the results turned out?
You spent a lot of those nights, obviously, you know, you're up in these decisions and they're uncertain, and you're trying to make sure that you don't lock yourselves into what you did and thinking that it's always right. And so there's those nights that you wake up and stare at the ceiling and ask yourself, but I always go back to the process and what we thought at the time.
The Vikings have fired general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah after 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, they basically went with J.J. McCarthy over him, over Sam Darnold. Yeah, I mean, given his age and the way that he played last year, that's a pretty tough call to make, although he's in a bit of a tough spot. But yeah, the post I was going to show you says former Vikings GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah rubbed some across the NFL the wrong way when he spent 2 weeks away from the team on paternity leave after the birth of his first child during training camp. So he's not allowed to go experience fatherhood. There's nothing wrong with that. Glad he did that. Take your leave. It's given for a reason. Good for him. Family over football. You would think the NFL should be more focused on all the people speeding, physical or other kinds of assault, gambling, or drugs. But goodness gracious, God forbid someone take time to be a father. Yeah, in disbelief, he did something he was legally entitled to and be with his newborn child and wife. Is the man not supposed to be there for his kid or something? That's a tough. How do I word this lightly? You can't take 2 weeks off right in the middle of the most important time of the year. You can't. Like, I don't know. That's rough. I trust me from the bottom of my fucking heart, am somebody that would say normally there is no job, and there is no job worth not being there for the birth of your child. If you want to be there for a day or two, for a week, maybe, I don't know. I haven't been in that situation, but generally speaking, I'm all for him going to be a father and him going to celebrate the fact that he's having a child, 1,000%, and being there for his wife, 1,000%. 2 full weeks right in the middle of training camp does open you up for what I do think is probably an unfair situation here. But yeah, anyways, moving back into the Super Bowl, Sam Darnold, as I said, ultimately costs potentially the GM of the Vikings his job because of how well he's doing. The second graders in New England who have never seen their team play in the Super Bowl finally have an opportunity. Their agonizing stretch is finally over. The second graders. Finally a Super Bowl without the Chiefs. And then it's the Seahawks and the fucking Patriots. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Patriots to NFL fans who preyed on the Chiefs' downfall. Oh, shit. How Chiefs fans feel putting on that Patriots jersey they haven't worn since 2019. NFL fans watching Drake May get to a Super Bowl at a younger age than Tom Brady ever started a game in the NFL. Oh, God. He made it to the Super Bowl before, at a younger age than Tom Brady ever started a game? Damn. And Tommy DeVito is on the team. Tommy DeVito's in the Super Bowl before Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott. That's so funny. That is so fucking funny. Watching the Patriots get to the Super Bowl and say, okay, we get it. They were really fucking terrible. And then they're like, or they were great, and then they were terrible, and then they're great again. I get it. Watching the Patriots get back to a Super Bowl after playing the single easiest schedule in NFL history. Playoff Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud blind, and a backup QB. We're going to address that in just a second. Stephon Diggs really made it to the Super Bowl before Josh Allen. Oh, they got Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs spot from that picture. That's so funny. Oh, brother. Stephon Diggs to his chef after asking for payment. I've put Stephon Diggs in my thing to cover him for like 2 or 3 weeks. I can't fit him in there. But yeah, Stephon Diggs is wildin'. They asked him what his favorite Cardi B song was, and he just straight up said it was WAP. Patriots to the Bills for taking out Bo Nix in the divisional round and handing them a free trip to the Super Bowl. I never get to tell you thank you. The weather changed from the first quarter to the fourth quarter in the AFC Championship game is wild. Yeah, I mean, and the Patriots had to deal with that too. Or no? I mean, was it just snowing for one team? Not. Greenland deploying their weather on us was an unexpected first strike. That's fucking funny. Jared Stidham threw up a Carson Beck. Haven't had time to talk about that yet either, but trust, we're coming back to it when we do a college football debrief. Patriots path to the Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. Closest the Cowboys have gotten to a championship. He's got a fucking cowboy hat on. Let's go ahead and throw this in there as well. The Patriots have scored the fewest points in the wild card, divisional, and conference championship games en route to a Super Bowl appearance ever. 2000 Ravens were second. They won. 2007 Giants third. They won. That's a lot less than them. But there was also a blizzard. I mean, I don't know. Some of that stuff did weather-wise. I'm not going to go back and look up the weather for every single one of these games. It probably happened to those teams maybe at some point as well, too. But yeah, this is kind of the number one thing that people are talking about is how easy of a path that they had. Not a good day for that statistic when you realize that the Patriots are the first team in the NFL. The Patriots are the first team in NFL history to beat 3 top 5 total defenses in the playoffs. The Los Angeles Chargers at number 5, the Houston Texans at number 1, and the Denver Broncos at number 2. Drake May is the first QB in NFL history to throw for under 100 yards in the AFC Championship and win the game. Stephon Diggs, yeah. So that's a little bit tough, right? So everybody's talking about how the Patriots are going to get blown out by the Seahawks, which I'm going to make a pick for the game in a minute. I'm not necessarily saying that I disagree. But what I do think is interesting is the scheduling thing, because you can't have it both ways. You can't talk about how easy their path was and also ignore the fact that they had a historically difficult path to get here offensively, right? So whenever people are talking about the fact that they only scored 54 points, for example, the lowest ever put up on the way to the Super Bowl, well, they also beat 3 top 5 defenses, which has never been done before. Well, if you're playing 3 top 5 defenses, what do you think is probably going to happen? You're going to score less points. And they won anyway. Similar to the old Patriots dynasty, they won anyway. They found a way to win anyway. And that was something that the old Patriots were really, really annoying with. They would turn your strength, into a weakness. They would completely shut it down. Whatever you were great at, they're going to shut that down. You're going to have to go somewhere else. They were great at scouting, Belichik, etc. That was a different team and a different regime. But what this team reminds me of them with is the fact that they kind of just find a way to do it. The Broncos game, for example, I get that they weren't playing Bo Nix, but to be fair, everyone all week before that game talked about how much they hated Bo Nix and how it was such a big mismatch at the quarterback position and how Bo Nix couldn't get him over the hump and all this other stuff. He plays an amazing game against Josh Allen, goes literally band for band and fucking outplays Josh Allen. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, well, you beat the Broncos without Bo Nix, superstar Bo Nix. Literally for 2 weeks, I had heard nothing but bad shit about Bo Nix. And he plays, and then, everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon for Bo Nix when it comes time to proving their point about the Patriots, I guess. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. As a side note, since 1994, the Patriots have the highest winning percentage in men's major American sports, 324 and 176. Since 1994. That's 31 years ago. These motherfuckers have won 65% of their games over a 31-year fucking stretch. Keep that in mind. We're saving that one for later because that was meant to be in the Super Bowl part, but we're pulling it back for later. So I do think that the scheduling part of it is a little bit overblown. There's a couple other callbacks to the previous Patriots dynasty that I want to bring up here. One of them being Josh McDaniels, who has kind of been all over the place and always ends up back in New England somehow. I kind of don't give him a whole lot of credit given how much of a disaster he was as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, the guy is legendary. It's actually kind of shocking. I thought this was a pretty cool moment between him and Drake May, side of football and a side of coaching and relationships in sports that you don't get to see often.
Hard.
I know. Hey, listen to me. Look at me. It's going to be hard. But look, this will be the most rewarding 6.5 minutes of our lives if we can get it done. You know what I mean? Hey.
Hard.
I know.
Hey,
listen to me. Look at me. It's going to be hard. But look, this will be the most rewarding 6.5 minutes of our lives if we can get it done. You know what I mean?
I love that. He's a star QB, but still a kid. Offer him some room to grow, folks. He's also the youngest guy to ever start in the Super Bowl. Dude is he's a kid. I mean, he's like, how old is? Yeah, he's 23 years old and like relatively fresh. 23 August. He was born in 2002. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Anyways, yeah, he's 23 years old, fighting through a blizzard. And while we're on that subject, so I thought that this was so fucking awesome after the fact. Drake May lover, Drake May. If you ever need to be convinced that you should do something with your passions when it comes to content, this guy has a page for Drake May who just got in the league a couple years ago and is just commenting Drake May on stuff. He's got 381K. What? Is this only Drake May stuff? There's no way. This is only Drake May. Oh my God, this guy's got 381,000 followers. And it's just a Drake May account? That can't be real. I get why people are making accounts about him whenever he does stuff like this. Drake May called his own number on the game ceiling naked. It wasn't called it's a boot naked, by the way. It wasn't called a naked nobody in the huddle noob madness. So basically, in case you're not aware, Drake May rolled out and got the first down to clinch the game, essentially. And normally, what they would call a naked boot, what you would call a naked boot, is essentially he just rolls out by himself. Nobody's blocking that way. There's nobody that comes to help. It's pure, like, all distraction to one way. And then you'd have, the quarterback roll back out the other way. And that, it can work whenever you catch a defense not prepared for it. Let's go ahead and roll the Peyton Manning naked boot touchdown.
Peyton still has the football. Can you believe it? Peyton Manning runs it in for the touchdown.
Apparently, Drake May just decided to do this on his own. I hit my block and all the defenders started running the other way. Pat center Garrett Bradbury said, I'm like, what? Oh my God. 4 seconds and 7 yards later, May crossed the first down marker on the Patriots sideline. His little secret had clinched the AFC title. After the game, Drake's like, I debated telling you guys if I was going to keep it or not, but I just decided not to. So he just took the ball and went left. That is ballsy, A, because if that does not work, oh my God. But B, Drake May, Iceman. That's my nickname for him, and it fits for multiple reasons. Whenever it comes to that particular example, running your own boot naked in the snow. The Patriots are also the first team to reach the Super Bowl after 13 plus losses in the previous season. Dude, they lost 13 games last year. They were 4-13, and they're in the Super Bowl. Like, what in the fuck? How is that even possible?
It feels good. It feels great. But Warriors! Listen, I can't tell you.
Like, as in Golden State?
How proud I am to be associated with these guys and this organization. I want to thank Robert and Jonathan. Love our quarterback. I love our football team. I love our staff. I'm a lucky head coach.
Gotta love Mike. Love Robert Saleh. Rub Lobber Saleh. Love Robert Saleh and Brian Dable in that combo, but God, I miss you, Mike. Mike, by the way, this is not an AI image, was on the Cleveland Browns last year as an assistant. Yep, for real. That is a real thing. Yeah, Mike Vrabel was a consultant for the Browns in 2024. Worked as a consultant helping with both coaching and personnel. Why? I really think that it's a sneaky, real option that the Patriots are the second coming of that original dynasty that, of course, Vrabel was a part of, that, of course, Vrabel soaked in all the lessons of. He isn't technically a part of the Belichick coaching tree because he didn't coach under Belichick, but it's kind of like a modern Belichick approach. It's kind of like a modern Belichick as far as Mike Vrabel being, tough-nosed, but loves his guys, a player's coach, but schematically and technically sound as well. Kind of the best of both worlds, kind of a hybrid, if you will. And because of that, I do genuinely think that there is that possibility that they're one of those teams that kind of just forms themselves around whoever they're playing and just finds a way to get it done more often than not. Patriots didn't win every Super Bowl, didn't win every game, obviously, but there were a lot of times where they took away things that didn't seem to be able to be taken away. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker, from a defensive standpoint, and then their offense was just efficient enough to have more points at the end of the game than the other team. See that 28-3 matchup as an example. I mean, they were outmatched enough that they were down 28-3, but they were also so able to evolve in that moment that they were also able to come back. Not because they had a bunch of big long plays, but systematically worked their way back from that 28-3 deficit. And so I do think that it's possible that happens here. The first Patriots Super Bowl of that dynasty, they were a 14-point underdog to the Rams. So there would be some similarities from that standpoint too. But there's a reason why people are picking this Seattle team, because they are fast and athletic and young and aggressive, and they're blowing people out, to put it one way. And a guy who deserves a ton of that credit is a guy who I pronounced his name wrong when we started the season. I was talking about Mike McDaniels in Miami, and I think I called Mike McDonald Mike McDaniel singular, but it's actually Mike McDonald. It's a different name completely. We have a couple of things to go over here for Mr. McDonald. But the thing that I would say anecdotally is that what you hear a lot about when it comes to him is that he's kind of the Sean McVay of defense. Ironically, he went up against Sean McVay last week and won. The Rams did just about everything you could possibly do to win that game and just didn't, because they just lost to a better team when it comes to Seattle.
McDonald talking to the team in their first team meeting before OTAs.
All right, we got everybody.
Yeah, so there you go. First team meeting before OTAs, April 8th, 2024. First team meeting as head coach.
This is pretty awesome, huh, guys? This is awesome. We got a hell of a program ready for you guys. One thing that I want you guys to feel going through this program is that we have a vision for you and this football team.
Here we go, fastball!
But today, all right, I'm going to take you here now, so stay with me. I want us to just take a minute here and fast forward to January, NFC Championship. It's 30-something degrees. All right, it's wet, it's windy. All right, shitty for them, okay, but it's just right for us. We're loose. We're focused. All right, we're confident. We just spent the last 9 months stacking every opportunity that we had to put us in that position.
I got one question. Do y'all feel it? This is what we send the message. We the best in the world.
Team across from us in the other locker room, okay, they've seen the tape. They know what they're in for. 11 guys playing as one, every snap. They know that we're like that.
Hey, boys! Fire to the end zone. Ball is caught.
They know that they're facing a bunch of men that won't give up. They know they'll face a team that won't die and won't quit. They know. It's inevitable. So let's go to work.
The McDonald prophecy. The first team meeting. He was 12 months off. You heard him say it 9 months from now. But obviously it took 21 months. It's taken him 2 years to basically live out exactly what he laid out for the team whenever he started setting the culture of the McDonald era up there in Seattle. And then lo and behold, kickoff in the 30s. It will be rain. It's going to be hell for them. Just right for us or something like that.
I realized that I just got that wrong and have gotten that wrong multiple times, that it's his second year in Seattle. Holy shit, fuck. But wow, my God, that was fucking awesome. Moving on to the next post that we got CTE from playing peekaboo, which is just incredible. It's fucking crazy that Mike McDonald went, the key to my defense was Kyle Hamilton, so I should probably draft a new one right away. And they did that. Nick Eamon-Worry. Oh yeah, we haven't talked about the Bills at all. Imagine being the Bills enduring 2 decades of Brady dominance. Then when he's done have a legit contender for 6 years, never get to a Super Bowl in that time, only to see the Pats lap you and go back before you do. Brutal. Golly. Brady's shoulder plane comment about JSN, pointing at the JSN doesn't change his shoulder plane depending on his route. Essentially, he has no tell, makes it difficult for DB to diagnose route. Never heard anyone talk about that. Brilliant insight, in my opinion. What he's talking about there, that's actually a really interesting point. Basically, receivers, whenever you go to run your route, a lot of times guys will raise up. So if I go to run, a cut this way, right before I go to cut, I'll kind of boom, right? It can be a little bit of a like I'm trying to get you to kind of react with me, like come up with me, and then where are we gonna go? and then you make, but generally speaking, you're not doing it really on purpose per se. It's more so like a tell. You kind of just raise up before you go to do that, before you go to make your cut naturally. So if you don't do that and then out of nowhere I'm there, it's basically like having no tell in a boxing fight, and you just can't see it coming, and he's just there before you even could predict possibly that he was going to make a cut at all. So that's pretty interesting. Super Bowl by season: 2001 Patriots, 2003 Patriots, 2004 Patriots, 2005 Seahawks, 2007 Patriots, 2011 Patriots, 2013 Seahawks, 2014 Patriots and Seahawks, 2016 Patriots, 2017 Patriots, 2018 Patriots, 2025 Patriots and Seahawks. More than one of those was both of them, right? Or no? But yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. That's right. Odds for Drew Lock to win his first Super Bowl. Fucking stop. My favorite part about Sam Darnold is that he's the exact player he was advertised as in college, and yet it took the league like 8 years to figure it out. Well, he's developed quite a bit, A, and B, part of the reason why teams gave up on him is because he was the exact player that he was advertised as coming out of college, which is turnover heavy, takes too many risks, etc. So he's had to work some of that stuff out, just for the record. But one final note I would say about the Patriots as well is that there's one other similarity that both goes to this scheduling issue and also reminds me of the former Patriots, which is that they play in the AFC East. Historically, one of the, if not the year-to-year worst division, them and the NFC South probably, in all of football. They're terrible. They're terrible. The Dolphins are usually terrible. The Jets are usually terrible. And in large part, the Bills were terrible during the New England run. So this whole thing like that, we showed you the 3 lowest scoring Super Bowl runs ever. 2 previous to this have already won. There was a stat that I saw also that the team with, I can't remember exactly how they put it, but basically the team with the easier schedule of the 2 in the matchup had won like 7 out of the last 10. So it absolutely does not discount the Patriots automatically from winning. I think that if you were to make an argument on the field about the Seahawks being better, I think that that's definitely something that you could do. But the scheduling thing is just super lazy to me overall. One other thing I wanted to show you about head coach Mike Macdonald. I haven't actually watched this yet. And we're hitting parenting. We're hitting all kind of stuff today, eh? Let's see what we got here.
Days, I don't get to see Jack throughout the week as much. So Thursdays I try to get, which is today, I try to get home pretty quick to be with him for maybe a half hour before he goes to bed. And then I got a setup at my house where I can go and then I work on the game plan. But it's able to spend some more time at home and be with Jack. And also it kind of lets you kind of get away from everything and kind of see things from a different perspective. And it keeps you fresh, so it's been helpful.
So he only gets like 30 minutes to an hour to see his kid per week. What I would say about Mike Macdonald before we move on is that he gives me just looking at him, okay, just reading his energy, just kind of looking at his face, and he looks awkward. He looks like he doesn't like or is uncomfortable with some of the media stuff, some of the other things that come with football. And I actually say that as a compliment. I think this dude is just all ball all the time, and he's, again, the Sean McVay of defenses. What do you think about when you think of Sean McVay? Photographic memory, just nerd, football nerd. And I think that that's what this guy is. I think he's one of those like eccentric genius types in coaching form. I think is Mike Macdonald. And every time that I see him like moving around or speaking, he just comes across to me as someone who is very like almost autistic. Again, I mean that in like a complimentary way. Like he seems brilliant at like whatever equation he's working on in his head, and that personality type can certainly work in a leader. That doesn't discount him as a leader at all. I think you have to have some kind of personality to be able to connect to your players and that kind of thing, but clearly he's able to do that, clearly. And he actually comes across a bit intimidating from a football perspective because he just looks like he's got some Rain Man calculations going on up there that you just don't understand. On paper, the Seattle Seahawks had no business being anywhere near the Super Bowl. Their offense ranked near the bottom of the league in turnovers. By the way, we're talking about a blowout, and they are 26th in interceptions thrown, 32nd in fumbles, most in the NFL, 31st in total turnovers. I mean, if you're going to have to, play against an offense that you're not really as talented as, if you're going to have to, score keep up with the score of the Seahawks, if they give you multiple extra shots, that's going to help that a whole lot if you're New England. honestly, like the more that we talk about it, the more convinced I am that there's a sneaky good value on some of the Patriots stuff here. On paper, this team had no business being anywhere near the Super Bowl. The offense ranked near the bottom of the league in turnovers, put the ball on the ground constantly, and made mistakes that would have buried most teams by midseason. But football isn't played on paper. The Seattle Seahawks survived because they were built differently. Their defense didn't just stop teams, it scored, flipped momentum, and erased errors in the biggest moments. When it mattered the most, they could survive mistakes that would destroy anyone else. That's the part people forget. Championships aren't about being perfect. They're about having a margin for error when chaos hits. So they're in the Super Bowl because they play complementary football and are, in fact, a good team. 100%. I would say also that there is possibly something to be exploited there when it comes to that. The last couple of things on the Super Bowl before we move on to our last big topic that I wanted to bring up. We had a story a few weeks ago about the San Francisco 49ers having an electric substation right next to their facility that possibly, scientifically, probably is contributing to the fact that they have, players with like exploding calves and Achilles and shit like that every other year. Like they're the most injured team in the NFL, factually speaking, over a long period of time. Interesting, because in that video I said, I don't understand kind of why this isn't being taken more seriously. I mean, it seems legit to me. I mean, the logic makes sense and seems like there's like statistical readings and scientific backing to it. But I guess you do you, San Francisco. Two teams that are convinced of it are the two Super Bowl teams. The Patriots and the Seahawks will not practice at the 49ers facility next week amid concerns about the electric substation nearby and its potential impact on injuries. Instead, the Patriots use Stanford's facilities and the Seahawks will use San Jose State's facilities. So not only do they believe it enough to think that they don't even want to be around it for a week. So think about that. Super fun news. I just did this entire segment and didn't have the fucking audio on my recorder. So that's super fucking awesome. And I love that. And that's really fun. If you're still here, please like the video. Please comment something, anything. I'm going to just go ahead and fast forward to the future and say that someone feels bad for me that just happened and they're going to give some engagement because of it. And we're just going to be happy with that and move forward. Earlier, I had this post pulled up. Since 1994, the Patriots had the highest winning percentage in men's major American pro sports, 324 and 176, 64.8% across the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and MLS. That is the best. Somehow, the man who was responsible for both hiring Bill Belichik, who was informed that he had not made it in to the Hall of Fame as well over the last week, the man that hired the winningest head coach of all time and drafted the greatest quarterback of all time, Robert Kraft, was not given entry into the Hall of Fame. As you can see here, not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bill Belichick fell short of the votes needed to be inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame during his first year of eligibility. 6 Super Bowls isn't enough. What does a guy have to do? And that is really the overall point, right? You got the winningest head coach of all time. You got the winningest owner of all time. Since going back before Belichick, after Belichick, Robert Kraft has them in the Super Bowl again, obviously. Bill's college stuff has nothing to do with his NFL tenure. It shouldn't. Although my first thought was this has to have something to do with that. It's got to. Because I cannot understand how, we're playing a sport, okay? In sports, the idea is to win. These two guys won more than anyone. So I quite literally don't know how it's possible unless there's something going on off the field. Again, this stat doesn't lie. This man owned the team that did that. As a side note, by the way, something that I said in the first take that I have to make sure that I get in here is that Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame. The Cowboys have not done anything in 30 years. The Titans have made it further in the playoffs than the Dallas Cowboys. That's not to count the Patriots, who have won 6 Super Bowls in that time period. But Jerry Jones is in because of his contributions to the sport, and Robert Kraft isn't. It's kind of interesting. Makes you think if maybe there's something else going on here, because if we're just looking at the stuff on the field, it's not even, there's no argument to be made. And it's kind of sad because, you got the issue with the Hall of Fame is multiple layers deep. There is an issue with the way that they do it. There's an issue with the people that vote on it. Obviously, there's never been a more emblematic time of that than right here and right now when it comes to these two things. But you got to understand that there's a really big problem here because there's a log jam of guys and coaches and owners and players who should have been in a long, long time ago. You have guys that played in a totally different time period than some of the guys now. You have a first ballot situation where you have to be out of the league for 5 years before you can be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Well, once, a guy like Bill Belichick comes up, and ironically, it didn't work out this way this time. Again, that's why we're talking about it, because it's so batshit insane that Bill Belichick isn't a Hall of Famer first ballot, that Robert Kraft isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Again, it would be like if Tom Brady has the opportunity to get in 3 years now, whatever it is, and he doesn't get in. That's a first ballot Hall of Famer because of the process, which says you have to pick from this guy or this guy. Well, any process that ends up with Bill Belichick or Robert Kraft not beating out that other guy, if we're talking about on the field stuff, is a flawed process at minimum, to put it nicely. What's really sad about it too is that you have guys who never get to see their ultimate accomplishment and their ultimate achievement come to fruition because they die because this process takes so fucking long. So the process is broken. The voters who vote on it should be audited up, down, left, right, and backwards. I want the names of the voters that should be out. I think so as well, because this is clearly either a personal beef that the people that are involved in this have with the Patriots or with these two individuals, or it's reputation more than anything else. And I guess maybe that has played into things before. I had to think that the reputation off the field, the stuff that's happening with North Carolina and that kind of thing, has got to have something to do with Bill's lack of a selection. It has to. Robert Kraft, by the way, was also the owner who presided over the cheating scandal, who was the owner that presided over 20 years of domination, which people probably aren't overly happy about, who was also the owner who was caught in a massage parlor scandal that he kind of just got a slap on the wrist for and kind of went away. But maybe there's a little bit of thought that it wouldn't be good timing to include somebody who has that kind of history at the moment, or maybe it's just not good timing because he's just directly named in the files, which I believe that he is at one point or another. So did Robert Kraft not get into the Hall of Fame because of Jeffrey Epstein in some roundabout way? I think that it's possible. Did Bill Belichick get some trickle-down hatred and consequences because of the hatred for Robert Kraft? Is there equal hatred for both of them because they both were at the top of the game and participated in the cheating scandals and that kind of thing? What I do know for sure is that it cannot be because of anything on the field, and there's nobody that would tell you that. It just can't be. And so we have a pretty interesting situation developing when it comes to that. Donald Trump, in the same mindset that gave pro football the new and unwatchable sissy kickoff rule that made possible for Bill Belichick to not be elected in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Both are ridiculous and should be overturned. The sissy kickoff rule. Okay. Man, there's no way I read that right? Ain't no way Bill Belichick ain't first ballot Hall of Fame. That's impossible, egregious, and quite frankly disrespectful. LeBron James. Insane. Don't even understand how this could be possible for Patrick Mahomes. Jimmy Johnson. As a Hall of Fame coach, I think Bill Belichick is the greatest of all time. Yes, he had a great QB, but we all did. He won after the salary cap and free agency. Plus, I know how much he loves the NFL and the game. I'm pissed. I would like to know the names of the assholes who did not vote for him. They are too cowardly to identify themselves. 1,000% they are. And it is very fucked up and annoying. We've roasted Bill quite a bit in some of our college football videos, and Robert Kraft, has some roastable things on him as well. Although don't do that around Tom Brady, as you saw during the roast of Tom Brady. He was not going for the Robert Kraft jokes. So, I mean, this guy isn't like a sleazeball that, we can't have Dan Snyder in there despite the fact that he has 6 Super Bowl rings. It's not really what's going on here. Coach Prime, the disrespect to Coach Belichick is straight ignorant. He's arguably the best NFL coach to ever coach the game. How quickly we forget the impact Coach Bill Belichick made on all of us. J.J. Watt, I can't believe I'm reading this. This has to be some knockoff Hall of Fame or something. It can't be the actual NFL Hall of Fame. There's not a single world whatsoever in which Bill Belichick should not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Agreed. Devin McCourty, dumbest shit we've seen all 2026. If Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, then no one should be. Robert Griffin III. Dan Dakich. I've told you all this for years. The NFL media is the dumbest of any media. They are lazy. They are arrogant. They are really dumb. They are vindictive. I don't make things up. I told you because I've watched it. Shout out to that guy. I represented Bill Belichick in the coach subcommittee meeting that moved him forward to the full committee, and I presented him to the full committee. I am stunned, disappointed, and disagree deeply with the at least 11 selectors who didn't vote for him, because they have to get a certain amount of votes. So there was a number of voters who didn't vote for him specific. And again, that's not that many people to torpedo something if you really wanted to. By the way, what he's referencing here when he says that he presented him, there are, I could be selected, let's say, to present the case that Bill Belichick should be in the NFL Hall of Fame to a committee that then votes on it. That's how it works. I present the case for that person on behalf of that person. Someone else presents their Hall of Fame case. It's a weird thing. Everyone's saying Deflategate and Spygate is why O.J. Simpson is in the Hall of Fame and he murdered 2 people. I think that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? Think I read this on the first take and not on the second one, but this is Tom Brady's response. He had a blunt response to Bill Belichick's Hall of Fame snub. Let's just play the audio this time.
And I was with him every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season, I'm taking Bill Belichick. So that's enough said. There's nothing outside of that. Again, when it comes down to votes and, popularity and all that, then welcome to the world of voting, and you may as well go, try out for the Oscars or whatever, and, get a big panel to tell you if you're good or not. So it's the way it works, and unfortunately, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. In the end, I'm not worried about that. I don't understand it.
He definitely will get into the Hall of Fame, so will Robert Kraft. I think that this was a message of some kind that was either sent to them by the people that, that are past this committee, that the word was passed down to make sure that they don't get in, or, depending on who those 11 people are, it could be just a direct message from those 11 people or a consequence of some kind. There's no logical reason to explain it other than that. The Hall of Fame, right before I recorded this, actually released a statement. Oh no, excuse me, that was on the 28th. So that would have been before Kraft didn't get in as well. Okay. The Pro Football Hall of Fame understands and respects the passionate reaction of many fans, media members, and enshrinees of the hall itself in light of published reports regarding the voting results for the class of 2026. It's that very passion that propels the game. The hall also respects the members of the selection committee when they follow the selection process bylaws. It is an honor to serve as a selector. Yeah, it sure is. Each year, the hall reviews the selection process and the composition of the 50-person selection committee. If it is determined that any members violated the selection process bylaws, they understand actions will be taken. That could include the possibility that such selectors would not remain a member of the committee moving forward. The selection of a new class is the most important duty the Hall of Fame oversees each year, and the integrity of that process cannot be in question. So essentially, what that means is that they aren't to me, I read that as, if there was some fuckery that's gone on here, which we're not sure that there was or wasn't, there may have been, because this doesn't make any sense to us either. We take this very seriously, and if we got people in there that can't recognize that Bill Belichick's a first ballot Hall of Famer, we're going to have to review this process and these people, and hopefully they'll be consequent. It kind of sounds like they also sense that there was quite a bit not right with some of this. The last big institution of the NFL that we will attack today is the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl can't even get a Sunday afternoon slot anymore. They just throw it on a Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday now. That thing is dead. Yeah, I think it's this afternoon. I think it's this evening. I literally don't even know. They changed it from... It's a really tough situation, the Pro Bowl, because you don't want to go full throat out there and get guys hurt. You don't go full on. When you play football, you get hurt. If you don't deliver the hit, you get injured. You're scared of getting hurt because you're going to take, the brunt of a bunch of hits. The only way that you can really react to that is be the one delivering the hits. You kind of need both parties to dance that tango, or else there really is a lot of opportunity for being hurt. And if you got guys going full on, then yeah, there is obviously opportunity for guys to get hurt too.
Mormon is going to fake it on the run, and he's going to come up short. Sean Taylor.
What I don't really understand about the 7-on-7, though, I will say, is that I feel like there's just as much chance of a guy tearing something, relatively speaking, in that format. Also, you can go for a ball and bust your lip or break a piece of your face or finger. Like, there's always inherent risk to anything like this. Just do away with it if this is what we're going to do. I personally don't mind the 7-on-7 as much. I think maybe skills challenges, one-on-ones, like stuff like that could be interesting if you got guys that really, really go for it, but I don't know how you incentivize them to do so. And the main reason that we're talking about this, as great as the NFL is, they have a Pro Bowl problem, a Hall of Fame problem, a reporting industry problem, an officiating problem. They have been laughably exposed this year. They also have a gambling problem, I would say, and a perception problem when it comes to that. May is king. This boy got groupies. Anyways, I have a Pro Bowl helmet that I walk. Sean Merriman, dog. I have a Pro Bowl helmet that I walk by almost every day. It's signed by some of the best players in the history of the NFL, legends, Hall of Famers, and real GOATs. The Pro Bowl used to be a badge of honor and respect. It has, and the All-Pro is a much better indicator of who the actual best players in the NFL are. Similarly to how All-Star voting in the NBA is not a great indicator of the best players. The All-NBA first team and second team is the best way to look, who genuinely played the best. And then just a picture of Shedeur Sanders. I mean, do you just decline it if you're him at some point? I mean, whenever you got Trevor Lawrence, who doesn't make it with 38 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 4,300 yards, top 3 MVP voting, and this man had what? How is that fucking okay? Y'all don't know how the Pro Bowl works. They probably asked everyone ahead of Shedeur. They all declined because nobody cares about the Pro Bowl game. Shedeur is the best option that accepted the invite. Yeah, okay. So to be fair, that's probably why Trevor Lawrence didn't. I gotta think that's why Trevor Lawrence didn't get in. Like, there's no way that they actually asked Shedeur before Trevor Lawrence. There's no way. If so, abolish the whole shit. Just abolish it. Top 3 in the MVP. It was top 3 in the MVP vote. How the fuck? First of all, you wouldn't even know that because it hasn't happened yet. But whatever. Why would they put that? That's a weird post. Point being is that, yes, as Buddy said, they do basically just ask people at a certain point. Joe Burrow and Joe Flacco from the same team, right? right? I'm not crazy, right? Right. Yeah. A few weeks in the 2025 season, I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy. Flacco was traded to the Bengals after they lost Joe Burrow to injury. Joe Flacco and Joe Burrow are both on the Pro Bowl roster. The guy that got hurt and the guy that replaced him. So just inherently, neither one of them could have played enough games, you would think. So yeah, Pro Bowl is broken. Just as a last little note about the Hall of Fame and the institutions of the NFL that are falling by the wayside. Thank God we have a good Super Bowl, I suppose. And as far as just, crazy shit happening, it's great for us to talk about. Hopefully this turns out well and you guys enjoyed it. If so, please subscribe. Please engage with Hybrid Studios. Please share it with somebody who may enjoy it. Follow on all platforms, all that kind of stuff. Let's wrap up with a few videos from Tom Brady, because I thought that these were interesting and they are relevant to the Patriots and the Seahawks Super Bowl. Official pick for that, by the way. Don't think that I forgot. We just wanted to plan it here at the end. Official pick for the Super Bowl is going to be the following. Calculating. Do I want to go out on a limb and say that the Patriots are going to have that ever-evolving form, which allows them to adapt to this particular matchup? Or do I want to go with the clearly dominant team that everybody else is picking for good reason? I don't know. I actually think it's a little bit, again, the obvious answer is the Seahawks, but I think that the Patriots, there's a lot of value, especially betting. I have no idea what the lines are. Betting wise, I would say there's probably got to be a ton of value on the Patriots, and there's got to be none on the Seahawks, considering the way that everybody's talking about them. So as far as betting goes, there's a little bit of advice for what it's worth. But to pick the game itself, just in a vacuum for the channel, to have a pick out there, I'm gonna go Seahawks by 13, and it's closer than that. Double-digit win for the Seahawks, but maybe like a late touchdown or something like that kind of pushes the score, the margin a little bit wider. But other than that, a pretty close game. Yeah, we'll go 13 points, and we'll go 30-17 Seahawks. 30-17 Seahawks. That's gonna be my official prediction. With that being said, let's finish up here with some Tom Brady, because I can't get enough Tom Brady these days. I just think it's fascinating listening to him talk. Back in the day, Tom Brady was asked what his favorite ring was, and he said the next, which is an absolute savage response. Let's see.
For winning Super Bowls, he posted, hey, this is...
That's straight bait. Damn. Got really excited about it. Synchronicity. How about that? This man is the current. That's so fucking cool. This is the 2024 Rookies Brunch. He just got drafted by New England. He knows that he's there to replace Tom Brady. Hell of a draft class as well. Surrounded by dogs. And he's asking him, hey, back when you won that ring for New England and you said the next one is my favorite. Me too. I'm about to get you the next one myself here in just a little bit. That's fucking wild.
So how would you remind yourself of that mentality? And if you're ever losing it, how would you like to say, quote, get back on track?
I never look back saying, hey, we won the Super Bowl last year, so now I'm good this year. I'm just going to roll my helmet out there and everyone's going to bow down to me, because, now they're just going to think that I'm so great that they don't want to come take what I got. If I wanted to win in 2017, 2016 had nothing to do with 2017. And if I wanted to win the next Sunday, the previous Sunday did not matter. And you guys are going to see that in the NFL. You're going to win a game on the opening weekend, and you know what? If you don't do the exact same preparation, if you don't step your game up in week 2, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Tom, I got one.
Yeah.
I don't care whether they think I'm the best or the second best or the third best. I mean, I got 3 Super Bowl rings. So that speaks, hey, you can say whatever you want, but look at these diamonds on these fingers. I mean, that speaks for itself. I mean, it just shuts a lot of people up.
That's so funny. I think it's pretty interesting too, because he's like, yeah, but the diamonds shut him up real quick when you show him the rings. It's like, there's a psycho in there, and you got to have a balance of both. You got to balance, never looking back, never, buying into your own hype, so that you continue working the process that got you there to begin with. And also, don't make me flash these fucking rings at your ass. I think it's a good lesson for anybody, whether you're sitting down to do a YouTube video or whether you are an NFL quarterback. But with all of that said and done, we have a Super Bowl pick. We talked about the Hall of Fame snubbing Bill Belichik and Robert Kraft. We talked about the Pro Bowl, including Shedeur Sanders. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate you guys very much for sticking with me. If you are still here, I'm going to try to put these episodes out more consistently so there's not so much to cover. And just generally speaking, I'm going to try to keep the length between 45 minutes and an hour, certainly, but really more so around 45 minutes. So I can get a little bit quicker, more efficient at getting in and out on some of these topics. So I can cover as much stuff as possible without turning it into, like an hour and 15 or an hour and 30 minute long episode, because That is not the goal, from a time standpoint, although generally speaking, length is not something I worry about, but that is not necessarily the goal, and the edits are brutal. So yeah, if you are still here with me at the end of this one, I very much appreciate it. As always, please like and subscribe, and all that good shit. You know what to do.